Hi all. Today we are going to discuss a question named majority element. So let's see the problem statement. It's an easy problem of Leetcode. So let's see the problem statement. The problem statement says that given an array nums of size n, return the majority element. The majority element is the element that appears more than n by 2 lower bound of n by 2 times, and you may assume that the majority element always exists in the array. So basically they are saying that the size of the array is n, and we need to check that whichever element is greater than n by 2, like whichever element is occurring more than n by 2 times, we'll be returning that element. And like for every case there is a majority element in the array, so we can't say that majority element does not exist. Like there will be a single majority element or more than, so at least one will be present. So now coming to the sample test cases, it says that nums is equal to 3 comma 2 comma 3. So according to this, the length of the array will be nums will be 3, and lower bound of n by 2, that means the lower bound of length by 2 will be 3 by 2 is 1. So the element which is occurring more than 1, that will be the output. So like here the count of 3 is 2 and 2 is 1. So we are going to return 3 because the count of 3 is 2 greater than 1. Similarly, in the second test case, we can see that the size of the array is 8, and here the lower bound of n by 2, that means the length by 2 will be 4, and here 2 is occurring 4 times and 3 is occurring and 1 is occurring 3 times. Length of the array is 7. Yes, length of the array is 7, and the lower bound will be 7 by 2, that is 3, and the count of 2 is 4 and count of 1 is 3. So the majority element will be 2 because the count of 2 is 4 in this case. Now let's take a look at the sample test cases through so like we are having an array as 1, 2, 2, 2, and let's suppose 1. So the in this case the length of the array is n equals to 5. Simply the length of the array is 5, and we need to check n by 2 lower bound. Okay, so in this case we'll get as 5 by 2 lower bound, that will be, I guess, 2. So what we need to check, that we need to check every element count, and the element count which is greater than 2, we are going to return that particular element. So the approach is very simple. What we'll do, we'll maintain a hash map, like a map, to store the count of frequency or count of every occurring element, and then we will iterate over the map to check whichever element count is greater than, strictly greater than, like n by 2 lower bound, we are going to return that particular element. So now we are going to maintain the map to store the count of every element. So the count of every element will be like we are having a map, so like maintain a map or a dictionary, whichever you find. So here the count of 1 will be 2, comma, count of 2 will be 3, because 1 is occurring 2 times here and here, and 2 is occurring 3 times, this and this. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll maintain a count, like we'll iterate over this particular map. Come uh, Now coming to the first element of this map, we'll see that it is 1, and we'll check the count of 1, that is 2, is greater than this 2. For the first element the count is less than, like count is equals, like count of 1, that is 2, is equals to the n by 2 lower bound. So it means that 1 is not the majority element, so we'll not take it. Now moving on to the next element of the map, that is 2, and the count is 3. So we'll check that count of 2 is 3, which is greater than 2. Simply it is greater than 2. So we'll see that count of 2, that is 3, is greater than 2. So we are going to take this particular element as the majority element. So our output will be 2 because the count is greater than 2, that is n by 2 lower bound. It's a very simple approach. So we are maintaining a map, and then we are storing the count of each element in the map, and then we are iterating over the map to check whichever element count is greater than the n by 2 lower bound, that means length by 2 lower bound. We are simply returning that particular element. So in this particular case, like in this scenario, we are having the time complexity of order of n, because we are iterating over the array and storing the count, and like the space complexity will be order of n, because we are using a hash map to store the all the elements of the array. So the time complexity is order of n, and the space complexity is also order of n. So both time and space are order of n and order of n. Now let's code it. Very simple approach. So coming to Python 3, what we'll do, we'll store each element count. So we'll have a map is equals to this, and in Python we are having an inbuilt function as counter. By simply using that counter, we can get the count of all the elements in the array. So we'll write counter of nums. Now we'll iterate over this map. Like we need to have the length of the map also, length of the array. So we'll have n is equals to len of nums. Now we'll have the condition. So like the condition is n by 2 times lower bound. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll iterate over the map and check कि if map of I, like that particular element count is greater than n by 2, that means the condition which is given n by 2 lower bound, then simply we are returning that particular element, like returning that I. So let's see whether it is running on the sample test cases or not, or we have made a mistake. Okay. Oh, it's an indentation error, I guess. I guess we are having some indentation error. We'll code it again. Yeah, now it's clear. Just a second. Okay, I got the error. This Z is creating the error. So I guess now it's working fine. We'll check like it's removed or not. Yes, so sample test cases are running. We'll check whether the code is running on all the hidden test cases. We'll submit the code. Yes, so it's running on all the test cases.